Hello, Serbia and the rest of the world. This is my first edition of What the O Canada. My plan is to have every week, I'm going to report on some major headlines that I thought were a little bit off or catchy or something that I thought the rest of the world should know that may not be shared with the world due to, limited information and coverage, or just the fact that you're not in Canada seeing the daily news. I'm going to be doing this every Friday. Again, it's called What the O Canada. This is the week of March 3rd, and let's get into it. Everything expressed is what I have found in the reputable news, if there is reputable news left, as well as my opinion regarding something if I add on to it. But these are facts. First, I want to let you know, if you're not familiar with who the leader of Canada is currently, it is our fearless leader, Justin Trudeau. Now, Justin Trudeau is not very well liked by the majority of Canadians and unfortunately was somehow voted back in. Now, we're not going to touch on how or why because I'm sure everybody knows what corrupt government looks like. Now, first this week, we had Justin Trudeau who passed the bill to now censor Canadians. This is something that is very sad for a land of the free, and everybody sings, "Oh, Canada," so proudly, to now hear that they're going to be censored and only see what the government allows them to see is a very sad future coming to them. Now, after Justin Trudeau passed this bill, Google respectfully started to do some testing on the restrictions required, and in which Justin Trudeau then complained that unfortunately journalists are going to be losing money because of Google and actually not because he created the censorship bill. That sounds just like our Justin Trudeau, fearless leader, putting the blame on others rather than putting the blame on himself. Now, we also had Justin Trudeau announce this week that they will be legalizing heroin and cocaine as a way to move forward in Canada to support the individuals who are addicted to cocaine and heroin, and this will be from taxpayers' dollars. Now, I can't imagine a single taxpayer saying woohoo to that, but there may be some out there, and if you are, you can let me know below. We also, in British Columbia, a province of Canada, is now received a permission at a cannabis company who received permission to sell marijuana, now also has the permission to produce and sell cocaine to the citizens of British Columbia. Now, if you remember, I had touched on it a bit, that there was a university in Toronto that was actually giving out safe snorting kits, so it's safe to assume that Ontario will also be the next province that will legalize marijuana companies to start producing and selling cocaine. I never thought that people would say that their job was a drug dealer, but if that's what you aspire to be, go and do it legally in Canada because you're allowed. Also this week in the news, we also had a pastor who attended a library in Calgary and was violently removed when he was protesting a drag all ages show at the public library. Now, the word public is very important. This is for anyone and everyone. If it's all ages, why was he removed? Is it not free to protest anywhere in your country? That's what us Canadians thought, but unfortunately this pastor was not only removed, but removed physically. And again, there were children at this event, and children were being exposed to sexual information that they are not yet to process, but unfortunately are not being given the opportunity to be censored by what actually should be censored rather than being able to Google things. As I touched on before, it's also become a very violent place for Canadian residents. In Toronto this week, we had 2 incidents that I became aware of on the public transit, which is referred to as the TTC. Now, the TTC is used by over a million individuals daily. Now, the first incident I read about was a man was waiting and was unprovokedly pushed onto the train tracks. He luckily survived, but did not know the individual who pushed him. We also had 3 individuals, all female, who were sexually assaulted while on or waiting for the TTC. It's been reported that people are actually hiding while they're waiting for their public transit to try to stay safe. Also in this week, we had a report that an individual has been arrested and charged with 96 counts of child luring and sexual assault on children as young as 7 years old. It's very sad to say that's not the first and definitely obviously won't be the last, but definitely something that should be shared because while things do happen in other countries, it seems to be a lot more relevant in Canada. Also this week in the news, there was a body found floating in the Lake Ontario harborfront in front of Toronto, and they're currently investigating the identity of the individual. Also reporting this week, we had a competitive race, which was a 1,500 meter race, and the individual who won the race was a trans biological male, now identifying as a female. Now, if anyone sees that as fair, I would definitely be up for the challenge to debate that, as male and females were not made equally. And last but certainly not least to share right now with you for the week of March 3rd is that Canada has been ranked by the World Health Organization that it has the 6th highest suicide rate out of 33 countries. This is a first of its kind where they've done this type of survey, and sadly this may be a result of the rise in costs such as rent, which is now averaging at $2,500 a month to be in the city of Toronto, while the average income in the city of Toronto is only about $32,000. Now, if you do the math, it's very simple to know that the two just don't relate. So individuals working in Toronto would either have to live outside of the Toronto area, and individuals who are able to rent in Toronto would obviously only be very high paid positions, and there's not as many as one would like to think. So sadly, there is an increase in suicide rates, and it seems that all we are doing to aid that is offering more drug abuse. While I love sharing positive information and meeting with my local Serbs, it also is important that I share the events and information that's happening in Canada, especially with censorship happening. I think that Justin Trudeau, and this is strictly my opinion, he wanted to censor the rest of the world from the information of what's actually happening in Canada, and the journalists and Google took it the other way and understood that the Canadians needed to be censored. Now, I could entirely be wrong on that, but I also know that a lot of this information I'm sharing with you is not easily found or information that is widespread with the world. And I think it is important that current events are shared, especially with the number of individuals leaving Canada to live in other parts of the world. Thank you for tuning in to my What the O Canada, and I'll see you again next Friday. Don't forget to tune in on Mondays where I have my regular vlog where I've got all the great information I'm sharing about this beautiful country that I'm in. We have Wednesdays where I'm sharing somewhere that's my favorite place or definitely a recommendation. And then we have Fridays where it's What the O Canada again. Anyways, talk to you soon. Ciao, bye, zdravo, vidimo se.